Well, you're halfway there.
Oh, yeah, I'm halfway there. That's all that counts.
Yep.
Ready whenever you are, Mayor.
Okay. We'll call this meeting to order then.
Geisler,
Here.
Judd. Judd. Oh, I'm having trouble with Dina's sound, but I can read her lips. I can't hear you, but I can see you. Nichols,
Go ahead. Yes.
Rotaback,
Yes.
Ducastle,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
All righty.
All right. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening to this Zoom council meeting for February 1st. We'll start the evening out with public comment. Is there anyone out there that has anything to bring to council or comment on that's not on the agenda?
Lindsay,
Hi, this is Craig. Actually, for some reason it opened in my wife's name. I guess I haven't looked at the agenda. I don't know what's on it. So, did you guys already read over what's on it?
No.
no. Do you like us to read the agenda?
Sure.
So typically we do call to order, public comment, approval of minutes, treasurer's report, and then under items of business, we have resolution 2101 for a category B contract with MDOT, approval of the planning commission annual reports, 21-22 budget items, and consideration of amendment to remove micro business use. Then we pay the bills, we have committee reports and other.
Okay. Thank you for reading that. I guess I wasn't aware of the amendment to the micro business ordinance. But that's basically what I'm here to talk about. So I guess when you guys get to that section, I could comment then, I guess.
That would be appropriate, I would think.
All right, perfect.
We'll make sure that we call on you for that time period too. I just wrote your name down so it reminds me. So,
All right, thank you.
all right. Is there anyone else? All right, then we'll move on to approval of the minutes of January 7th, 2021.
Motion to approve.
I support.
We have a motion and support. Is there any discussion?
Motion by Fredline, second by Nichols.
I believe that was it.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. No other discussion? Roll call?
Geisler,
Yes.
Judd. Dina, you're having a sound problem.
Put a thumbs up.
Yes.
There you
Oh,
go.
You must need to get closer.
Hmm.
Nichols,
I don't know
Yes.
what's going on.
Rotaback,
Yes.
Ducastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. I move on to motions carried to accept the minutes or approval. The treasurer's report. Looking for a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
I'll make a motion.
We got
Four
Mrs.
motions.
Nichols, Ms.
I
Jeff,
second it then.
and
Thanks so
Alex.
much.
Discussion. No discussion. We'll do roll call for the treasury report.
All right. Geisler,
Yes.
Judd.
Yes.
Oh, well, we kind of got something there. Nichols,
Yeah.
Rotaback,
Yes.
Ducastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried to approve the treasurer's report. We move on to items of business is Resolution 2101, Category B Contract, MDOT. Paula, you want to do anything as far as speaking on this?
Just to make sure everybody knows that what we're doing here, it's a, grant with MDOT that we've been working on for a couple of years for Category B funding. We're gonna do Woodbury Road from Grand River to Doyle, and, there's quite a lot of other small local roads. It's only for local. And it's a $250,000 grant with a $250,000 match. In addition to the match, we have to come up with the engineering. So once we approve this contract, then we have to move forward with the bidding process. We'll pay the engineers to do that. And then we have to determine if we're going to spend funding out of our fund balance or if we're going to bond to make a payment on the, maybe $310,000 might cost us for our share of the project.
I make a motion. That's a no-brainer.
I second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Do we have further discussion? Now, Paula, on this, on a lot of the notes and minutes that I've read, you're actually asking the council to consider how they want to pay for this when we get that point. So that's something they need to keep in mind to which way they want to go with this to pay for it. Is that correct?
Correct. And then we're probably going to need to deal with that in the next month or so, whether we're going to bond, because then we'll have to go ahead and go out for bonds. It might take a couple months to get those funds, but we're not going to spend all of the money in the first 3 months. So we still
Right.
got to get the project approved and all that.
Exactly. So this is something to consider, but it's definitely something to look at the budget and in your own minds, how we're going to pay for it when we do it.
I was looking at, also, we saved quite a bit of money with the amphitheater, so I'm looking at that part of it too, so. We'll discuss it in a month or two or whatever.
All right. Any other discussion at this point? All right. Roll call.
Geisler,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rodebeck,
Yes.
Ducastle,
Yes.
Fredline.
Yeah.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried. Item number 4 on the agenda is the approval of the Planning Commission annual reports.
Can you guys hear me good?
Oh,
Can
much
now.
better.
We can see it
Okay.
too.
Sorry.
Does everyone read the Planning Commission annual report? You've got a lot of information in there from Pete and
Definitely a lot to read from Pete.
well, that's the annual report from the Planning Commission.
Just an update on everything that the planning commission did this year
Right.
in one document. And the other is a review of the master plan and its goals.
So you need a motion to accept or approve.
Yes, whichever way you want to do it.
Motion to approve.
I second.
You had 3 seconds there.
Okay,
Judd.
Whoever you want.
All right. Any other discussion on this? All right. Roll call.
Geisler,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rodebeck,
Yes.
Ducastle,
Yes.
Fredline,
Yeah.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried for the approval of the planning commission annual report. Item number 5 is the 2021 budget items, or excuse me, 21-22. I want to get rid of that 20.
We want to get rid of the 21. We don't know.
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
All right, and you have quite a description of the budget outline as far as just being put together and being reviewed and looked at. This is something that you need to review and add and subtract or whatever as you see it. I would say Paul is asking for your input and other departments as well. They've got their wish list started, so basically we don't. Go ahead.
I was going to chime in with the library. I mean, at this point, we don't really know. We haven't got the numbers in, so I think that's kind of up in the air. Is the library going to purchase the building or not, and what we want to do? So I'm assuming that once, I mean, I don't feel like there's anything we can suspect to do right now until we figure that out, if it's doable.
But the library needs to manage their regular budget outside of the.
Yes, and I know you sent that, and we will send that over. You sent us an Excel spreadsheet
Yeah.
over to us, yes, and we will get that back to you, and yes, we'll do that.
Well, there's a lot of things such as the library that, that we don't have yet, but this is a work in progress on the budget and we've started on it, and it's your opportunity to review, look at departments wise, add, subtract, and so forth. So, I mean, it's just, I think at this time, it's basically a review and see what's been thrown out there as the plan at this point of what some people would like to see done or have or get for their departments and otherwise. So
Well, we actually, did a lot of work between the department heads, and I think we have it in really good shape right now, but there are some things that council's gonna need to make some decisions on, and that would be how we're gonna fund our share of the street project. And if we end up dealing with the vacant property that we're trying to purchase, how we're gonna handle that. And then there's the library building. So, I mean, there's a few things that are just kind of, we're not sure yet where those are gonna land, but if there's anything else that we have in that budget, I tried to detail for you what everybody's looking at. Then we need some comments at your department meetings or whatever you wanna do. We'll bring this back to you in March with hopefully a balanced budget unless we hear otherwise.
It looks
Okay.
good.
sounds like a plan. All right. Item number 6 then, which is the consideration of amendment to remove micro business use. I believe it'd be an appropriate time for Mr. Luna to come on and say what he's got before we get started.
Hi, guys. So I had been emailing with Michael Daly and looking into the licensing and what you guys previously had in the ordinance. And like, I was completely unaware that you guys actually had in there tonight to review it. So what I was talking to Michael Daly about was to actually come in and get a building that I potentially could get and do an actual commercial grow instead of the micro business grow. Because I think we can all agree that, having 4 retail potentially 4 cannabis retail operations right in town isn't really, sustainable for the small town of Langsberg. So my plan was to come in and do just the commercial grow part of it, not the retail part of it. And then basically, feed those 2 dispensaries that you have coming into town soon. With the micro business license, you can't sell to dispensaries. You have to actually open up your own retail and sell it to the consumers yourself. So that was what I wanted to come to this meeting and discuss and just kind of see where everyone's head was at on something like that. I know the majority of pushback is going to be about the smell. There is things you can do to mitigate that smell that, you know, I would be more than willing to put in place. Anybody that sits here and tells you that there's going to be no smell whatsoever, it is just flat out lying to you. So I'm not going to do that. You know, you guys are probably smart enough to know that you're going to smell it a little bit, but I mean, you're also going to smell it, you know, from those dispensaries, and not as much as a grow, you know, but the dispensaries will smell a little bit as well. And I don't know, it's a rumor, but I heard that there's also going to be a processing facility that will smell a little bit as well. So anyway, that was just some thoughts I had about it. You know, I'm actually a Langsberg resident. I live out on Scenic Lake. My family moved here 2 years ago. We love the community, and I would have just loved to start a business that I'm kind of passionate about, you know, in the town of Langsberg, somebody that actually lives in Langsberg, that cares about the community, and, you know, the smell that it would, you know, portray. Like I said, I would do everything in my power to mitigate that. So yeah, I mean, that's basically what I was coming to say. So I guess I can give it back to you guys now.
You spoke of building a building.
Nope, the building that I can potentially get. It'd be in between the two dispensaries coming into town.
Okay.
So as far as I know, you know, it's that 500 feet away from the school. And like I said, it'd kind of be like, you know, in an area that you guys are, you know, allowing currently for a micro business to come in and operate.
I will say, and then we'll go on into our agenda item. I will say that there's actually only two here. And one, I think, and I stand to be corrected, has already got a contract for a processor.
Yep, the old flooring building you're talking about?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
So I don't know that as 100% fact, but I think that was presented to us. But that was just for your own information.
Okay.
So, all right. Thank you. And we will go to item number 6, which is a consideration of amendment to restore the micro business use, or to remove it, excuse me. Pete, I see you're on there. Would you like to make a comment before we get into this?
Yes, if I could, Mr. Chair. So as you recall, the initial licensing included no grow, including no micro business. And the concern was the density of the city and odor issues. It was subsequently amended to allow the micro biz to come in, which would allow retail, grow, processing all on the same site, intended by the state to be kind of an entrepreneurial local type of effort that they wouldn't have to deal with the big boys, so to speak. So that request to allow micro business, that was subsequently revised by the person that requested that, and now they have the retail shop out by the gas station there instead of having the micro business. When they withdrew that, it was my impression somewhat the biggest concern was going to be the odor control. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate Mr. Luna's upfrontness and honesty about the odor. We deal with other clients out there, some of them with some major operations, and we're talking multi-million-dollar facilities, and they cannot even get a handle on the grow operation odor control problem. So Mr. Luna is not the only one that has been speaking with Mike. We've had a couple others requesting this. So I thought and reached out to Paula and said, I think this should be an agenda item for City Council to take up again before we start getting a number of applications that, you know, what licenses do you want? Mr. Luna's asked asking, would you like to open it up even further and allow for a commercial grow operation? Right now, that's 0 licenses permitted, but the micro biz would allow for growing to take place within the city limits as your licensing stands. So I thought I would bring the issue back up. You know, again, we deal with this, and I think that it is a significant issue with the odor, and I'm sure they'll get a handle on it at some point in the future, but the city's dense, so I'll hand it back to you folks to discuss. Happy to answer your questions.
No, my understanding is that we don't even have a license available for that, what he's looking for.
No, there's 0 licenses permitted for a commercial grow operation in the licensing ordinance.
Okay, before we get into questions and answers, can I get a motion to open this up for discussion in a second, please?
So moved.
Or
Second.
Okay,
So if I can real quick, and Pete, you could probably back me on this. So that micro business would allow for somebody to come in and grow 150 plants right now as the ordinance sits. Just so everyone is aware of that, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
well, council, what's your thoughts and feelings on the consideration of the amendment to start with? I mean, that's where we're at, and
I think that we were doing kind of a favor adding the micro business in there. And I think some of us were a little bit unsure at the moment. So I think removing it back to 0 would be fine. I mean, yeah, that's my take on it.
And yeah, and I think that we've got that outside dining that's sitting right there. We already have a little bit of businesses there, and I feel like this would add to it, I guess. I don't know. The smell.
anyone else? What your thoughts are?
I mean, we originally agreed upon the micro grow part of it, so I don't know why we would remove it. It's just, I'm just saying with that, I mean,
Well, I can see some
I agree. I mean,
feasibilities.
that gives a small guy a chance to compete.
Yeah, that's true.
And if we're going to consider bringing in a commercial grow, the micro grow is a lot smaller.
yep, that's what I'm looking at.
Still pretty concerned with the smell.
Smell and location. To me,
Mhm.
it makes the whole downtown area in that area a pot area, which I know it's legal, and that's fine. But
Gonna
we
make
do
a
have
wonderful
what we
spring
asked for.
But I
Pardon?
think though, I think it'd be easier to control the smell of a micro brew or micro grow versus a large grow operation, big
I
commercial.
agree. Yeah, I agree.
And that'd be the plus side about it.
But we don't have a large one even to offer, right, at this point in the city.
Well, from a purely economic standpoint, this is not about the morality of marijuana. That was decided by the voters in the state a couple of years ago. But from a purely economic standpoint, if we have investors that want to come in and take perhaps property that was off the tax rolls and put it back on the tax rolls and make it an ongoing concern and make it a profitable business that could in fact create jobs and economic opportunity, especially in downtown lately. There are a lot of empty buildings. This would be an economic enterprise that would fill one of them.
Yep.
So
I agree.
that's where I am on that. It is not a moral question to me. It is simply an economic question to me. And it is also, you know, a public nuisance question. A huge grow, obviously, but 150 plants with due diligence, I think can be controllable. I don't know the business that much, but I do know that A, it's profitable. B, it's going to put bring a new business into town. C, it's going to put a building back on the tax rolls. D, it will probably create jobs and economic opportunity. And E, everyone will probably want to check it out. And then they might go to Twigs and, get something to eat afterwards.
I will tell you though, that the way that stands is that the micro is only allowed in a standalone building. And we don't have one in the downtown
Available.
that's not on the tax roll.
Yeah, there was only the one and it sold.
They're all of our buildings down there are on the tax roll and being utilized for commercial use right now.
Well, then,
Boondocks is a standalone building. We are not attached to Twigs. It's the barber shop and Boondocks. That's a standalone.
I think
Well,
that's still up for.
What's the definition of standalone, I guess? I thought we talked about that.
You don't share a wall. You don't share a wall with another.
But Boondocks is on the tax roll, is that not correct?
It's on the tax rolls, but it's a standalone. We're not attached to Twigs,
We weren't
and the
talking
barber
about
shop has been
Boondocks.
incorporated with us, so they
Well,
both go together.
that wasn't what they were indicating where they was buying anyway, but still, standalone will have to be defined better than that.
Are you considering selling that for one of these, Alan?
I've not been offered anything, but I'm just saying it is a standalone.
So, I mean, that's not the building I was considering. I have a relationship with somebody who has a building right now that, said he'd be willing to, we could discuss a lease or potential a buy of his building.
Is there any other occupants in that building?
No, it's a standalone building.
Would you mind telling us which building that is?
It's the one in between the old Klontz floors and where the
Jimmy's
other
building.
dispensary is going to be.
It's
That's not
Jimmy's
standalone.
place.
Jimmy's building.
That's not standalone.
That's right. See, so we'll define that later.
Mr. Chair, may I add something?
Yes, sir.
May I
Please.
add it as not the consultant for the city of Langsberg in a planning and zoning capacity? From my experience with some of the grow operations, and some of them even been, as mentioned by Mr. Luna, the processing, is that facilities such as Gail had mentioned, that do have outdoor dining and such, the economic development of those types of uses are impacted when other uses emit a smell. Also, looking out for the city of Langsberg as well, is that enforcement of these facilities become very difficult because there is a major financial commitment to these air filtration systems. If they don't work to the city's almost zero tolerance on odor, it becomes an enforcement issue that then the city would have to deal with. Getting somebody to remove an operation that is already in place and going legally is 10 times more difficult than having an illegal operation going on. So that's my word of caution, is that economic development goes two ways with these types of operations. Yes, somebody will be using something and bringing in tax dollars, but you also need to look at other businesses that may not commit to the city of Langsberg because of the concern of having an odor issue 24/7. You are a dense population here. I would also think of your March border review and anything that they may deal with if this is near residences and there's a 24/7 problem with those residents also having an odor. They may claim that there's a drop in property values. May claim because of the newness of this hasn't been proven out. So you folks have known me for a long time. I have two hats I'm wearing here tonight on that. We brought it to you just because the issue's coming up again. Everything's straightforward. The Planning Commission would have to amend the zoning ordinance as well if you went to this zero licenses. But that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you.
Would there be a public hearing then if either way?
Only for the zoning component. You could have your own public hearing or make more known about this if you'd wish at a next meeting, at a subsequent meeting.
I think that when this all started, the intent was to fill some buildings, and I don't think anyone wanted the entire town filled. Um, And
Right.
at what point is that sustainable?
Because we don't really know what the odor we're gonna be dealing with yet is really. I mean, until we get in there, I think, and it happens. Um,
I don't know for sure, but like the shops and stuff, you'll probably have a pig pen effect when you get in the parking lot and stuff like that. You'll probably smell it, but in a grow, the wind can take it just like a pig farm or anything else. But um,
I
it'd
just
be
know
nice if it was
when we were going
outside of
through,
the downtown.
when we were going through the site plan review and when the licensees came to us, I heard a lot of the city council, and you guys could probably go back and watch the videos if you want, but there was a lot of, hey, how many of these do we need? And, is this going to be, okay if we have an apartment with it? Is it, so I think that you need to think about what you're considering. And if that's, the direction you want to take, then, that's the direction you want to take. But I think you need to think about the conversations that we've had. And that's what led us to think that, maybe we should take that off the table because it wasn't originally on the table and it was intentionally left off. We put it back on and now we have 2 shops. Do we want to continue and have the possibility of 2 more? I mean, those are the things you need to consider.
I'd be more
So are
open
we
to
looking for a
consideration.
motion to just consider
Remove.
this? Huh?
Yes, we're looking for a motion to remove it.
I'll make a motion to remove it.
Now we need a second.
Support.
So we're
We have a-
removing the
We have a
21.
motion to remove the amendment for micro business use.
Okay.
And we have a motion
So-
and a second. You
so in
have time
essence-
for discussion.
So in essence, we're saying we've got 2 pot shops, and that's all we're gonna have.
Yes. And no growing. That's what that means if you remove it.
Right.
'Cause that's what I was at. Like, I don't want to open a shop. I mean, like I said, four shops in Langsberg I agree is way too much. So like I said, I was just asking for the growing aspect of it without a shop. But I understand, everybody's concern with the smell and how it would affect.
That doesn't stop him from going someplace and still having one close to Langsberg. It just wouldn't be in Langsberg.
Yeah, I would love it if Woodhall Township or Victor Township would opt in, but unfortunately, right now Langsberg is it pretty much like locally.
Well, is this something you would consider putting up your own building, not so close to housing or residential?
It's an option. Obviously, that would take a little longer than I would like, but yeah, I mean, if there was something, outside of town in the country somewhere, that would be my first choice. But starting to look into this, most places, they'll only allow it in, industrial or in towns, from what I found. Some up north will allow like agricultural zoned, that some are out in the country. So yeah, right now I'm just trying to get in where I can, and the city of Langsberg was an option because obviously I live here, but the closer to here, the better,
Is there any other discussion on this? All right, roll call.
Geisler,
Yes.
Judd,
No.
Nichols,
No.
Rodebeck,
No.
Ducastle,
No.
Redline,
No.
Geisler,
I already
Oh, I
asked.
already asked you, Mayor
No.
Culpepper.
I say yes to removing it. That's my vote, so. So, motion falls. So who's gonna take the driver's seat? So,
Well, that just means that we remain the way that we had it and voted on it in the first place. That does not mean that we are limited in bringing it up again based on maybe what happens, in the future or after COVID or whatever. This just says you can have a micro brew or micro processing with 150 plants. This is no big grow operation. And in the future, if we don't see, well, I mean, what we just outlined was a ton of reasons why it would be extremely difficult for a micro grow operation in the zoning area that we've had it in. It's going to be costly if anything. And you've already expressed that there's not a building hardly in sight that is capable of doing that in the density that we have. So we already have, a couple of roadblocks to somebody wanting to come in here to do it.
Yeah.
If they can overcome those, and if they're willing to make that investment, perhaps that's a possibility. Right now, I see logistically it's not a possibility, but it's a possibility in our zoning because we allowed it then, we'll allow it now, and in the future, we may not. But I was actually kind of surprised that this wound up in the packet because I was completely caught off guard and unaware.
Yeah, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I'd say it'd be a difficult task for sure. And just real quick, so just so I'm clear, so the building that I potentially was looking at is a no-go. What are the two buildings then? You have Boondocks, and is there another one you guys are saying? Is that
The
correct?
other grow, hometown grow, or the Roots. That's the new marijuana dispensary in town that will be
Is that
opening.
the 120 West Street you're saying?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, but that one's already like, you're saying it's for sale?
No, that's not. for
building
sale.
you're looking
No.
for, the building you're looking at, and I would say Boondocks is the only two buildings that I'm aware of that's even down there that's open for anything.
Okay, but so I could do it in the building I'm talking about? Or no?
Well, you'd have to get a hold of the tenant that lives behind that, because he's got the adjoining wall, which is Steve Hurst. He lives out of state.
Oh, okay.
See,
He's
that
the-
building is not what, in my mind, I made the motion in the first place, if I recall, that it was a standalone building. Standalone building meant 4 separate walls, so there would be no fire chance or anything for any other buildings. Because if it does go up in smoke, it goes. And that was the standalone, but that I'm not the determining factor. The zoning board is on what a standalone building is and what qualifies and not. So.
Okay.
But Steve Hurst owns the back side of that on the other side of it,
Okay.
from where Jimmy's at,
Yep.
just to kind of give you a heads up.
Okay. I'll get a hold of Jim. I'm sure he knows him. I'm
Yep.
assuming. Okay.
And he might sell it to you. And then you have a standalone, I guess. I don't know. You'll talk to him.
I guess, yeah. We'll see.
I mean-
Well, like I said, I mean, from a business standpoint, I don't really want to do a micro. I don't want anything to do with the retail part of it. I think those other two dispensaries would be pretty heavy competitors because they'll be able to have more variety than I can. Because I would only be able to sell my own product that I grow or create or whatever, whereas they can bring in product from all over the state and sell it that I couldn't, have the variety that they would be able to have. So it's just, I'm just rambling stuff I need to think about and decide. And if I decide to move forward, you guys will be the first to know, I'm sure.
I mean, it definitely
Okay.
gives you a little possibility with either where you're looking at or across street with ventilation or whatever, because you got ventilation across street. So I don't know what all they need, but
Yeah,
Right.
Boondocks has a complete
I'm-
ventilation system since we're a restaurant.
Oh, okay.
I'm confused. Okay, so Craig here is looking to do a whole grow area, bigger than 150 plants, bigger than the micro grow. We're okaying the micro grow. or the micro business.
So,
So what we're okaying doesn't have to do with what he wants, right?
right, so potentially you're allowing 2 micro grows that put, so like, let's say potentially you could have 300 plants being grown in town. You know, I think, I can't remember, what is it, a class A or a class B that's like 500 plants I could apply for and get to where I'm growing 500 plants, but then I'm not having to retail it myself. So I guess
know,
I'm only
there
asking
is
for a couple hundred plants more.
But what I'm saying is that we're on the subject right now of the micro business itself. Are we keeping it or are we removing it? Which in fact has nothing to do with you. You would be the supplier of either them or somebody else. So you would have, I guess, no part in the micro business section that we're talking about right now. So if we were going to sell sorry, Alan. If Alan was going to sell boondocks for a micro business, that would only be 150 plants. And you're looking to be like the grower of the place. Like, so to me, it doesn't make sense why we're combining them together in discussion.
Well, like I said, I mean, my plan was to come here and ask and see what everybody's thoughts on were allowing, you know, just to grow. But if you guys said no, you know, I'm also considering the micro grow. You know, I would just have to crunch the numbers a lot more and see where it's at. But like I said, I didn't plan on doing the retail part of it, but it is an option. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm glad I'm still here for the micro grow conversation.
So can I move to, I'm not asking you, I'm asking the mayor, Paula, or whoever. Can I move to not remove the micro business 21, but not allow a bigger grower?
We
Can I
don't
make
have
motion?
that anyway.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, there is currently no opportunity for a large grow over 150 plants. That's
Right.
what we originally approved. Tonight, we're not approving anything. Tonight, we are simply saying we are going to
Keep everything the same.
keep
Right.
everything that we had previously approved intact for now.
Right.
Pete, don't throw away the work that you've done on this because we may very well use it in the future.
We changed 2 to a 0. That's all we did on that part. So there'll be no charge.
A 2 to a 0, yeah, I get it.
Okay, are we done with that subject for the moment? Okay. I guess then we will move to item number 7, approval of the bills.
Thank you
Motion
everyone for
So
your
moved.
time, by the way.
Pardon?
Thank you everyone for your time. I
Oh,
just
you're
wanted to say
welcome.
that.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
All right, did I hear a motion?
I support.
Yes, you did.
Pay them
Okay.
bills.
Pay them bills. A motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Geisler,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rodebeck,
Yes.
Ducastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion approved to pay the bills. Committee reports. So I'll get back here to the. Who we got on the top? Planning?
Jody?
Parks and Rec.
Oh,
Jody, if you want to speak, you can. And then we can go on to the other bills or the other meetings.
Yep. Perfect. So coming back in regards to the LARC, we did put together a Zoom meeting. We had a good group of people, new people that were interested, some that have moved to the community. So we had good hour-long discussion about the amphitheater, how we need to move forward. Paula was in on that meeting and was able to give us some good information. You guys will probably see in there the questions that we'd kind of put together of just things that popped in our head. She was able to answer some of those, some things in regards to insurance. we did decide that that we're not going to charge a fee. So that was a big task to, to get through that. At this point, the city's not looking at the amphitheater to be a moneymaker. So we're excited about that. We're planning on meeting every 2 weeks so that we can keep moving forward, work on procedures and policies. The drama instructor, Dr. Strickland from the high school, was on. She is excited to be able to hold the high school musical in the amphitheater, looking at probably one of the first 2 weeks in May, depending on weather. But they know that they're not going to be able to hold one inside the high school. So this is going to be able to give them an opportunity. And we all felt excited that, in our current times, that what a way to showcase what we have, and for the high school kids, for them to be able to get out there and, those parents, whether it's snowing or raining, they're going to sit out there and see those kids perform. So we're excited about that. Talked about a grand opening event. So those are just some things that are in the works. Paula also had in there just some minutes just so that you guys kind of know where we're at. But I'm excited about the group that we have put together. Whether they're going to be a part of it every month, or whether they just have good ideas when we get to the point where we're really ready to start booking and doing that kind of stuff. So we're moving along, and spring's going to be here. We're going to be excited. So that's all I have. Unless Gail or Dina has anything.
Well, that was a lot. Thank you.
You covered it. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got one question. Obviously, we don't want it to be a cash cow, and we don't want to charge a whole lot of money, but let's say that somebody wanted to hold a wedding there. And they were from outside of town, Scenic Lakes, and they thought our amphitheater looked great, and it would be a great spot for a wedding as far as I'm concerned. Have we talked about that at all, how we might be compensated if it was a private party that wanted to use it?
Well, we did, Paula had mentioned that right now the pavilions at both Bates and McClintock aren't being charged for. And there are people that are outside of our community, the city, that use those. We definitely would want them, in as the city does now, if someone wants to make a donation, we would accept that. So, may we push for that donation, but at this point, we thought as we get started that, we were going to charge, but not something that necessarily down the road, if we have to revisit, how we look at that.
I think we want to make sure it's used, and we can always change that later if we decide, but the donation, I think, is a great idea. And
I was just going to say, supply and demand may be a factor here too.
Right.
Because we have, 6 people that want to rent it in July, and currently that is not a problem, but it may in fact be a problem in the future. And then it's going to be whoever pays gets to use it.
Yeah.
That's what our meetings every 2 weeks are now. We're going to start implementing the procedures and policies and what's what and this and that. So that's what we'll be working on until it's ready to go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Jody.
You're welcome.
And Gail and the others that are serving and working on it. Well, Gail, are you going to give any more on the library, or is it what you got here fine? What you've had to say?
I'll just give a quick,
Okay.
So I talked to Jimmy, and I mean, like everyone else, the contractors are taking a little longer to get the numbers to us. But he hopes to have it to us by the next meeting so we can make some kind of, decision, I guess, if it's in the realm of being able to afford. So, I mean, he's been there quite a bit. He says that the bones of it's good. So, but that's pretty much all. I mean, that's the big thing right now is the building trying to decide. So.
And as time goes, we'll have a lot of decisions, all of us, to look at too, just as we have tonight. But all right, LSW report.
Okay, fire, we had 31 runs for the month. We had 32 runs for the ambulance. Our chief, Dan DeCourt, was promoted to captain on November 1st, and congratulations, Dan. We had 9 of our firefighters get COVID vaccines, and glad to see that happening. And that's it.
Good.
And I see that Dan is on the phone. Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Would you like to go ahead and discuss a couple of things you discussed with me this morning?
Yeah, one of the things that's coming into play is that we are having issue with our ambulance service. As stated, statewide, we're having problems with obtaining and retaining paramedics. Currently, our ambulance is down to 1 paramedic. Even tonight, our ambulance is out of service, so we're on mutual aid again. In the last, I guess it's 3 weeks now, we've had 3 paramedics quit. One due to a concern for health. The other, he decided to work closer to home in Jackson. And a third went to go work at the hospital for more pay and benefits. Since we are in advanced ambulance service, we're supposed to be required to be in service 24/7. However, that's not occurring. I have talked to the medical control officer, Dr. Edwards from Shiawassee County, along with the state EMS director, Mr. Flores. At some point, we may have to drop our ambulance down to a basic service, which is an EMT. If it's life-threatening, then a paramedic would have to come out of either Perry, Owasso, or MMR, which is in Owasso Township. So it's kind of up in the air. Part of the problem is our ambulance run for last year was a little over 400. So our ambulance isn't super busy. However, again, when somebody calls 911 and they have a life event, they are wanting to have a paramedic. We are still running our rescue out of the fire department. But at some point in the near future here, we're going to have to decide how we want to proceed with the ambulance. I think the state was probably going to get involved at some point in saying, you're going to have to do something because you don't have 24-hour paramedic coverage. Part of that is the pay. I know some of them, we do pay our paramedics only $13 an hour. But they do work typically a 48-hour shift. So they do get 8 hours overtime each week, 16 hours overtime a pay period. However, the problem again is that the state has a shortage of paramedics. And if they do have a paramedic license, they can go work at the ER for about $24 an hour. So we are going to have a crisis here with our ambulance service coming up. I wanted the council to know that the LSW board is going to have to be involved along with the other township and entities to decide how we're going to proceed with our ambulance. So it does open up a can of worms that we're going to have to deal with.
Who pays them? Is that LSW that pays, or is it the city, or is it the combined townships?
Well, right now, all the money comes from the city and the townships. It comes from Scioto and Woodhull for ambulance services. We do bill for some of our paramedic services. That brings in somewhere about 150 to 170,000 a year. The ambulance fee did go up last year. However, every dollar that goes up in pay is about $20,000 out of the budget. So if we were to be comparable to say like Clinton Area Ambulance, which is currently paying their paramedics $16 per hour, if we did that, that's a $3 an hour raise, which would be about $60,000 out of the budget.
Do you guys have any at this time? I know it might be a little premature, Chief, but do you have any numbers or figures that what it's going to take to operate a full ambulance as it would be today if we could? And I know wages is a problem, but has anybody run the numbers on a raise or something to draw them in and keep an ambulance here?
Well, that we did do the numbers on the pay raise. Again, that would be $3 is going to be about $60,000
for the year.
For the year, and that may or may not include overtime. For us to be operating efficiently, we need to come up with at least another 3 paramedics. And I've been scouring, and unfortunately, they're not out there right now. So there are other avenues that we may have to look at. We may have to look at a private company taking over, or another ambulance service such as Perry that would take over another our area. But again, based on call volume, they may also want to then take over Victor Township as well and take that from Lansing Mercy. So there's a lot of variables that are still up in the air. But I thought that the council needed to know that our ambulance service is struggling, and at some point we're going to have to make some hard decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for that report. Even though it's not nice, it's nice to know that up front where we're headed and what maybe we can or can't do about it.
Right.
So.
Correct.
All right, I guess that's all unless David, I see you're on there. Do you have anything to bring to us tonight as far as your DPW? I see you got your list and stuff. I mean, is there anything you want to add? You can't hear me, I don't think. So. All right, well, we'll move on to others, Paula.
I could hear you. I just couldn't unmute you.
Oh, okay.
I think everything that was in the packet there, that was what we talked about at the committee meetings, so.
Okay. Alrighty then. Well, it sounds like you got everything going and listed as far as your want list, so that's good. And everybody's back to work, and that's another good thing, so.
And the sidewalks look
Well,
really
they was till today. I got one guy out quarantined now because his wife's got COVID.
Okay.
Hey, Dave's doing a great job with the plowing and everything, considering what you guys got to deal with.
So.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Well, just keep them separated. That's all. All right. I guess we'll move on to others, Paula.
Okay. Basically an update on 300 Grand River. We're looking at an environmental assessment on that property that we're talking about partnering with the school on. And the alley, there was a letter in your packets regarding a situation that happened in the alley, and just kind of wanted to keep you up to date in case something happens there. But we can't have that alley used for personal use. I think that it's too important to the businesses that use that alley for deliveries and other items. So I think that, last year or so, whenever it was, seems like not that long ago, but it was, we had that surveyed. And so Burlingame sent a letter, just kind of, I guess you probably read it, so I don't need to repeat it. But anyways, we'd like to handle this amicably, but in case that can't happen, we kind of wanted to get the attorney involved. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens.
I read it, and it's kind of, I mean, everything going on, because the survey, with that kind of stuff from, don't we own some of his property as well? Too? I mean, like a porch or something, I was told a while ago on that. So it's
I
like the
don't, I
survey's
don't
kind
know
of,
anything about that, Marcy,
oh,
but that's
all right.
not in the alley if you're talking about.
Right. No, but there's other issues, way that survey, it's kind of screwy or something. But,
Well, it was done back in the 1800s and so forth on. You know how that story goes. So,
right, I know. It's just sad it's still going on, and it should have been, I would have thought, resolved, but
well, hopefully it will be soon. So,
I mean, it's just ridiculous. It really is.
what else you got, Paula?
Yeah.
We're working on the recycling grant still, working through some items with them. Basically, we got about half of what we asked for there, so they're trying to cut back the cost of their project a little bit. They're trying to do some fundraising, but it kind of looks like it's still moving in that direction. So,
Question
we've had some
for
good,
you.
what's
too.
that?
Question for you. So they're not even doing it downtown here for recycling at all for a while, right? Correct?
Um,
From what I see?
my understanding is not right now, no.
COVID keeps them on from doing that much, but I
I
would
would have
think.
thought they would have been down there on Roosevelt Road doing their thing still, but I was kind of shocked to see that I haven't seen any trailers down there, nothing. And when I
Well,
say-
it's wrong time of the year for COVID for people to be gathering. So that's
they're
probably
doing it-
part of it.
they're doing it on campus, so they got set hours. So, but take my
Yeah.
stuff to there, I guess.
Anything else?
We have the amphitheaters all done. We're working on getting a fence put up, and we've had a couple of suggestions from the neighbors that don't like the lights. So, hopefully when we get our cameras up and we get the lights maybe on timers or something, it'll be fine. And once the fence goes up, it's the people on the Scioto Street side. They're getting a lot of light from the back of the amphitheater. They understand why we have it lit up right now, and it does kind of keep the people away at night from doing things they shouldn't do over there. So, Dan's still working on the camera situation, so I think that'll be helpful. We get those up, and that's about it, I guess. We do need a member for the ZBA and the Planning Commission.
Yes, and I remember a few of you did mention that you knew a couple people. So if you do and you can get a contact, please do, or have them get a hold of Paul or me, and we'll go from there. Paul, I don't know if you knew this or not, because after we talked Friday, I got approached, and so it's just an FYI for everyone, because we are in the midst of COVID, so take it for what it's worth. But the National Lions Convention approved the Springtime Festival in Langsburg, and it's scheduled to be Memorial Day weekend. That's if it's permissible by the state, and the city. So that's where they're at. It has been approved. So plans are moving forward if everything works. They are hoping, and that information is coming from the president soon. They're hoping that we will extend the street closing, which it's already closed as far as I remember, up at High Street, and use that for more rides, because they're coming in on Memorial Day. They will actually bring more rides than what they've ever had. So that's what I was told. Now it could change, something could be different, but I just wanted everybody to know, because everybody's going to start asking pretty soon. So yes, it's being planned if it's possible. So that's just from the Lions Club's perspective, that they had to get approval from the National Lions Club board to do it. So
I've been talking to the festival people that they have an association, and there is still some concerns, I think, but I'm seeing some stuff pop up that's going forward. So,
well, I think from what I'm seeing is a lot of people are just planning everything that they do in the summer. And if they have to cancel it, they cancel it, because if they don't plan it, then there won't be nothing, even if they could be.
Right.
That's what I'm finding out for a lot of car shows and different things. They're just planning them and telling people they're going to be. And if they can't be, they can't be. So that was the reason why I told it, because it's far enough ahead for everybody to consider and look at it. So,
Well, one positive note, we got vaccines going on, so hopefully we get more out.
yeah, I hope we get some in Shiawassee County though. There
Buy
are
a
none
bracelet
there.
for
So,
rides, get a shot.
pardon?
I said buy a bracelet for rides and get a shot.
Yeah, that's about right.
We could have a booth for that down there somewheres, maybe.
But the concerns, I'm sure all of us have different concerns for having lots of people here, depending on what the situation is. So we'll deal with that later.
Yep, I agree.
Anything else? If there's nothing else, I'll listen to the magic words.
Mr. Chair.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Look at that.
Thank you.
Okay. You guys have a good night.
You
See you
too.
next month.
You too.
Night.
Bye-bye.